Welcome back to the Supercoach Hub AFL Classic Podcast. You're on with myself, Scobie, and Ferns. How are you tonight, my friend?
Oh, look, I'm doing all right. The Supercoach team, anyone that's seen my round review, they know it is shit. But enough
Oh,
about that. How you doing, Scopes?
I'm good. I'm absolutely fantastic. As all our viewers can see, that Clary Oliver is not with us, fresh off an absolute dismal performance on the weekend. Joshy isn't here. We've had a few questions about him. We've got no idea where he is, as fucking usual, because he just lacks communication skills. Ferns, how did you go this week in Supercoach, mate?
I mean, you should know. You played me in a few head-to-heads, and look, the fun thing about
Ooh.
picking a bunch of unique players is that we had 11 uniques, like which was really sick to see. But not as sick when they all absolutely, pardon my French, shit the bed.
So
Yeah.
what happened there? Did I beat you in the head-to-heads? I
Oh,
didn't.
you crushed me, bro. I
Oh,
scored 2,131.
right.
Absolutely
Well,
awful. I just went back 5,000 places to 27,000.
Jesus
Look, a
Christ.
lot of underperforming players like Anderson got tagged. As soon as Bedford was named, I knew it was coming. I
Yep.
brought in Nass for McGovern. He only dropped an 81. Holmes had a down game. I captained Dunkley for 69. So, VC Butters dodged that and went, yep, I'm going to get some points on the comp. No, lost 20 points to people that captained Butters. Like,
That's
it was a
stiff.
rough week. So on a more
That's
positive note, I'm going to quickly jump in the consensus team, which has been
go
slaying,
for it, mate.
dropped to
Go.
2,484 and went up 2.5K spots to 11,480. So, that's where I wish my team was, but yeah. And
Right.
how did you go, Scopes?
Mate, I think that I scored a 2,290. I dropped 700 spots. I'm sitting at 3.5K. So, and as for the last however many fucking weeks, I've got no trades. So, it was absolutely wonderful to see that Gorn was not named, and then Kruger didn't play Kruger. I had Dowling Loop, so that was wonderful. He's actually been very good the past 2 weeks, to be fair. I think he's
Oh, yeah.
averaging, I think it's like 83 across the last two. So, very handy. But I know a lot of people actually had Kruger on field, and he, got a light little tap to his head, and then he's out for however long. Obviously, he'll miss this week. Concussion's an absolute bitch, especially with someone that's had it in the past. But I mean, overall, I VC'd Butters, and then didn't take that. Then Captain Goulden. I mean, it was okay. My highest scoring midfielder was Bont, followed by Tom Green. So, when that's happening, that it's just your team is just absolutely disgusting. But besides that, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was pretty happy with McKercher's 94, who was covering Yo, who's was out with general soreness. But that might have been, unfortunately, he had a family commitment to attend to on the Monday. So I don't know how truthful that soreness is. I'll be happy to see him back. But I mean, at this stage, with no trades left, it's literally just hanging on and maybe pick a few pod captains here and there and try and climb a little bit higher. I will shout out the person that's not with us tonight, Joshy. He absolutely destroyed me in a head-to-head. He captained Neil. I think he VC'd Butters as well. Went with Neil. Obviously, Neil didn't do as well as what he normally does, but he was saved by, I think it was like a 46-point quarter in the third or the last, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did really well. And I think he's into, off the top of my head, I think he's into 1.3K. So he's doing really well. But I know he's got to trade Nankervis out this week. And I think going by what he said today, he's probably going to be going to Sherry. So I know you were big on Sherry at the start of the year, actually, mate. So full circles there.
Yeah. Look, this was a week to remember for a lot of people. I mean, my only positive is Sexton scored a 60. I thought he would outscore Kruger, so I didn't feel Kruger. Otherwise, I would have dropped below 2,100. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolute week to forget. I'm also stuck in the same boat. Got Nank and Kruger, and I'm gonna have to cop a donut next week or trade Nank. And I've decided I'm just gonna trade Sexton and cop the donut because that man was playing forward, and if that's his role when he's playing, if he's even playing, that is not a good sign.
Yeah, I completely get that. We are going to just go straight into the market summary. If you have trades left, this is for you. Might be some late swapping of premiums. I haven't looked at the numbers, so I can only imagine that no one's picking up rookies, but you're going to inform us, Ferns, and give your opinions on that, mate. So you just go for it.
Yep. So we'll start with the traded out players. So number 5 for the most traded out player this week, this is top 5%. Did you want me to go top 1 or keep it at top 5?
Go top 5.
Top 5, easy enough. Well, it is Matt Rao. 2% of the top 5% have traded him out. God, how bad has he been? I mean, Anderson got tagged, still got 27 touches, dropped 59. Rao scored worse than him without a tag. Like, he has been dreadful. He has been night and day. Like, it is unbelievable just how much of a cliff he'd fallen off.
What did he score in the end? Because I own him in my team, but I did not even fucking bother
51.
because I know 51. I remember I looked maybe 4 minutes into the game. He was on -6 because he gave away a free kick. And then at quarter time, he was on 24.
Yep.
So you're telling me that he scored literally like 30 points in 3 quarters of football?
That's right. I don't even think he scored in the final quarter. I remember seeing him around the 50 mark and then just don't know what happened. Disappeared.
That's like, it's genuinely fucking pathetic. Like, and when I'm looking at the scores, I alluded to this last week. I don't look at the top because I know it's going to be Flanders, either first or fourth for Gold Coast. It'll be Flanders. He'll be up there. No worries. Keep looking. And then I see Powell and I think that's okay. Like he's actually doing all right. And then it clicks and it's like, okay, I need to be looking for Rao, not Powell. I'm still looking down and down and the numbers just keep fucking dwindling. And then it's just like, my God, I paid 600,000 for this absolute donkey and he's just shit, pure shit. You could not pay, even if we had 55 fucking trades next year, I would not pick him. He can get fucked as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, he seems like such a nightmare to own. I'm very glad I didn't end up in that position. Honestly, someone I was interested in, just like many people were when he was peaking, but I wasn't in the position to get him, and somehow it's a blessing. For being behind, you end up in a position where you get rewarded, and I'm sure that happened to many people with this Rao pick because there was no reason to not pick him. He was so good to start this year, and to reward it like the reward owners like this, it's just, I cannot believe it. But we will jump.
Oh, please don't talk about that fucking grass-eating monkey again.
Yep. So we will jump to the next one. It is actually Max Gawn. That doesn't really make any sense to me. Maybe these people think he's going to be missing round 3 for some reason. So 2.1% of the top 5% have traded him. Maybe they've just traded him early, and if he doesn't get up, then they'll leave it. But I mean, my expectation is that he's getting up, so I would expect that to be reversed, honestly.
Well, he's listed as a test for this week, and he said he was on Triple M last week, and he said that he completed training, but he was kicking on his left foot, and he thought that he was all good to go, and the physio asked him to kick on his right foot for the last 15 minutes, and he reckoned he almost fell over. So he clearly wasn't ready last week. But if he's listed as a test this week, like, I think if you've held him already, you hold, even if he's out. Unless you've got 5 trades left, then by all means, absolutely. But yeah, if you've held this far and, you've got 2-3 trades left, I think you just keep him.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe they were using Kruger to cover, and now with Kruger out, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to cop a donut. I don't want that. If he doesn't get named, it's 1 week. It would really suck to get a donut for that 1 week, but if you have one trade, I wouldn't be moving gone. I mean, maybe move someone in the forward line if you know that's underperforming. Maybe you have a Fisher, move them to a Jackson, move
Yeah.
Jackson up to cover Gorn, and then Dowling into forward, something like that. I'm sure there's other ways you can work it, especially with so many rucks out. Obviously, we mentioned Nank earlier, Tom de Koning out, Kruger for cover, so they're just dropping like flies. So yeah, I wouldn't be trading Gorn out.
No.
Yeah. So the next one, moving on to, funny enough, there's only one more person that's traded out this player than Max Gorn. So also 2.1% traded out in the top 5%, and it's Brodie Grundy. I'm also confused by that. Where are you going? There's so many injured rucks. Are you just angry? He's had 2 back-to-back poor games. He's coming into Tim English at the SCG this week. He's going to have a massive one. Like, Tim gives up points. Grundy's been much better at the SCG than away from home. Like, I would think this is going to be a good week for him, and I probably would not be trading Grundy either.
I completely agree with you. I do not understand that at all. So, no, I would not be trading Brodie Grundy. No.
Yeah. I think this is just what happens when we get to this part of the season. The only people left with trades are so luxury that they're just doing whatever they want. Either that or I'm getting beaten by people that don't even look at their teams. So look, moving on to the next player. It's going to be 2.3% of the top 5% have traded out Nathan Kruger.
Yep.
I think that's a bit of a weird one, though, because if he's covering in your ruck line, like, why would you waste a trade for that? Like, it's not a premium. Who really cares if he's missing a game? Like, even if he doesn't play for the rest of the season, like, who really cares? Is he part of your best 22? No. So why would you waste a trade?
I'm just thinking, plays on the Sunday, like, you can't loot Dowling. Maybe Connor Brown was very good in the 2s for Melbourne. If somehow you've both got them in the forward line and you want to loop him, I don't think he's a priority to trade out at all.
Yeah, this would be crazy. I mean, the only logical thing I can see there is somebody's maybe trying to upgrade for some reason, but there's no other rookies to move. Like,
no.
Yeah, I just don't know what you're doing with that trade. I'd probably better spent elsewhere, unless, as you said, you're prepping money because you're going down to Brown, maybe prepping money for an upgrade next week or something.
But it's only he's only 240k. It's not as if he's 300. I'm not too sure on that.
Yeah. 3 rucks in a row. They're getting traded out. Clearly, people just don't have ruck cover. Actually, Grundy's playing, so I don't know what people are doing. But the most traded out player in the top 5%. This one makes sense. This one definitely makes sense. A lot of people would have held him, would have waited for his return, and then he ended up getting subbed. You're probably very happy for that because him getting subbed meant that McKercher could do what he wanted in that defensive line. That's right. It is Zach Fisher, who got traded out by 6% of the top 5%.
He was shit. I don't know. Like, I didn't watch this game, but 13 possessions for 38. Like, he was getting the ball, but clearly just not distributing how, I guess, how he previously had done with McKercher there. Like, it's a pretty easy pick. Like, who are you going to have the ball in the hands of? And I mean, who's going to be there long term? It's definitely not Zach Fisher. Like, it's going to be Colby.
Yeah, and Kirch showed that over the last 2 weeks when Fish was out. Fish was out, and Kirch was using the ball very well. Something Fish does not do. So
no. And he got subbed out. So like, you can't be running that forward. Even like, I guess you could loop it potentially, but I'm still not. Like, they play. If you want to keep him, they play the second game of the round, but they play Geelong. So I don't know how well that's going to go.
I think the other thing too, so I guess 2 things here. They're playing at Bloodstone, which is a very windy ground, so it's not the greatest for people that are going to rely on disposal efficiency, and his kicking is already questionable, to say the least. And then the only other thing I'm thinking here is he's still 4th 70k. If you trade him now, if you don't, he's got a break even of 160. If he has another shit performance, he's dropping like 50k. And then who are you going to him? Like, who are you trading him to at 420k? Maybe to a Kerno because he's pretty cheap, I guess. But I mean, he's still almost 500k. You can get so much value if you move him now. rather than waiting. But I do understand the 32% of owners that are holding because, as you sort of mentioned, you could loop him and maybe you just don't have the trades to
Yeah,
risk doing
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
No, I'm all for trading him.
Yeah. Awesome. So we will jump into the most traded in players. Starting at number 5, it is Lockie Whitfield. So 2% of the top 5% have traded him in. He's been in some good form, had a massive game this week. It might have been his highest score of the round, saying that it wasn't to Gold Coast, and GWS is like a notorious downhill skier, like as a club. Like when they beat bottom teams, they smash bottom teams. Whitfield didn't get any attention in this game and was able to run freely. Maybe that's going to be a bit of a boost to his confidence, and he can continue to do that. They are into Melbourne, who gave up, I'm pretty sure, some pretty big points to defenders this week, it might have been, or coming weeks, but I feel like they give up some decent points at the MCG, open ground, probably going to be quite good for Whitfield. So I understand getting him in. Definitely one of the top defenders at the moment. I'd say definitely pushing top 6.
Oh, he's been fantastic. I think Joshy alluded to it that it's 9 tons in his last 10 or 10 tons in his last 12 or something. He's been phenomenal. I know he was susceptible to the tag earlier on, but it just like he's been phenomenal since then. So I literally, if you're upgrading to Whitfield, you should be feeling very comfortable with that pick. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And look, it is a defender at the end of the day. Like, we're not looking for this 115, 120 average. If he can get 105 plus, that's going to be better than a lot of defenders. And he's definitely been doing that recently.
Absolutely.
So moving to the next guy, this is a guy that we have wanted for weeks, but he's just so expensive now. 2% traded in as well. Actually, the exact same amount of people have traded in Jack Sinclair that have traded in Lockie Whitfield. Yeah, I mean, he destroyed it this week, 140. I personally brought in Nas because, same logic as Sinclair, attacking defenders score really well into West Coast at Marvel Stadium. They obviously have this great Marvel run. Unfortunately, Nas was nowhere to be seen, but Sinclair, he did exactly what we thought, and he dropped to 140. He's been phenomenal, and him and Sheasel are fighting it out for D1 right now. So
yeah, absolutely.
Great trade to get in if you got the cash.
Yeah, if you've got the cash, and super pod area as well. Like,
yeah,
he's one of those names when you see that in the differential head to head that you're like, oh god. It's like, I do not like seeing Jay Sinclair coming up in a head to head. It's those players that you're not really like that worried of or wary of. He is the exact opposite of that. So if you can get to him, and you spoke about that Marvel run, absolutely. But obviously you've got to have the cash and the trades to do it. Get there in one trade.
He's definitely shown too. He's also just like a captain threat. We've had 2 weeks where captains are actually being super speculative, and it's been very frustrating to cop a 69 from Dunkley, but it is what it is. He's been unbelievable. Like, as you mentioned, similar to a Whitfield thing where like his recent history, it's insane. Like, he consistently puts out tons. He had an 88 last week at Adelaide Oval, but before that, he's basically been hitting the ton since like round 10. So yeah, he's insane. Captain threat. I think just also a safe fallback. Like, some players don't feel like it right now. Some people feel like they're too, like, even I thought Dunkley was going to be a safe captain, and to get slapped like this, there's so many players right now that are just inconsistent. There's a lot of tags going around. It's a mess. And Sinclair feels like one of those safety picks right now. We're putting the VC, huge ceiling. Even if you put the C on him, I think you're getting a pretty safe floor. So massive pick.
I completely agree with that, mate. Yep.
Awesome. So moving on to the next one. This one makes plenty of sense because we just talked about a bunch of ruckmen being out. So obviously some ruckmen have to be getting traded in. It is going to be Josh's man, Tristan Cherry. Traded in by 2.1% of the top 5%. Yeah, he's been good all year. There's a lot of injured rucks. He's one of the healthy ones. Awesome. Good pick.
I literally have nothing to add to that because he's a fantastic pick right now. And if you have a reason to trade a ruckman out, say you do own Nank, then I'd much rather Sherry over, for instance, Safe Gorn's name this week. Absolutely agree.
And I actually just took a look at his run, and I hadn't taken a look at this yet. This is filthy. So he's got Geelong this week.
Mhm.
Obviously, a team that gives up tons of points.
Yep.
He's got Richmond the following week. Obviously, Nank's out concussed. If for some reason, let's just say hypothetically, Nank didn't get up the following week, that could be disgusting as well.
Samson Ryan or someone.
Yeah. I mean, look, Nank probably gets up, and he's quite restrictive himself.
Yep.
But even if we count that as a restrictive matchup, after that, West Coast give up tons of points to Rucks. After that, Bulldogs. English has been awful, and even when he was good last year, he still gave up tons of points to Rucks. And then he finishes off on Hawthorn, and Lloyd Meeks being a pretty 50-50 matchup. So that's like 3 games that he could go huge in, and
absolutely fine. Like if you're trading a ruckman out, Sherry is the top target. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's monstrous. So number 2 most traded in, 3.3% of the top 5% have traded in Dylan Moore. He was actually electric, destroying us. Like, I don't know if you sat down and watched this game. God, I finally jumped on your bandwagon of we are shit. We are so bad. God,
I don't know how many fucking times I tell you that, but Jesus Christ.
I just had this faith, man. I had so much faith in my fellas to get it together, and after this game, it's lost. It's actually lost. Like, oh my goodness. But besides the point,
we weren't just bad; they were very good.
Oh, they've been on a tear. I mean, I think they showed the ladder for like what's it called, inform ladder, and technically like Hawthorn of like the last 10 have won like 9 of their last 10 or some shit, and technically second on the inform ladder. So they're a team that's crushing it at the moment. They're unbelievably like doing well right here. So Dylan Moore, I mean, don't think he kicked a goal. Maybe he kicked 1, but he had like, I swear, 7 goal assists. He was really good in this game. And this is also a hard game in a sense that because so many Hawthorn players had such big scores, it does restrict how much Moore can obviously score to a degree, because they had like 9 players over the ton. And if all the points are getting gobbled up, obviously there's a limit to how many points there can be in a game. So, he destroyed us. Hawthorn destroyed us. We were so shit. Kruger, just on another note, had that kick right in front of goal at the start of the game. And I was sitting there like, man, I should have fielded him over Sexton. And then it's even worse that he missed it, because I just wanted us to.
Terrible for owners. And then obviously he gets cast and now he's out this week.
Yeah.
But, I mean, with the forward options right now, Dylan Moore is a more than perfectly viable option, and you would probably think the elite echelon tier of coaches would have him somewhere in that forward line.
Definitely. And even if you're not playing for overall, he is a pretty good pickup for leagues. Look, Adelaide this week, he dropped at 169 on them previously. Obviously, that's not to say he'll do it again. GWS and Carlton, probably not the most friendly matchups, but then he does finish with Richmond and North, and they could be slaughters.
That's very juicy.
Yeah, and to finish it off, the most traded in player this week is actually Tim English at 3.7%. I was pretty surprised here. I think when we looked at it, Cherry made a lot of sense to be like the number 1 guy right here. English is coming into Grundy this week. He's pretty restrictive. He's then got Gawn the following week. He's decently restrictive. Riley O'Brien, or probably Riley O'Brien, who's actually, he can leak points, but he's quite good himself, before finishing off with Cherry and then Briggs. So like that's 4 pretty hard ruck matchups in my opinion. Briggs obviously being the one that leaks points a bit more, but I'm a bit surprised people are doing this. I don't know if this is just the comfort of people seeing the name English and just feeling comfortable in that over Cherry, who, technically hasn't done a full season of it before. But just looking at this season alone, I mean, you could say he's almost done a full season of it.
Is he the highest averaging ruckman currently?
English?
No,
Cherry. Sorry. Cherry can't be on top of Gawn, so let's take him out of the equation.
Yes.
Let's have a quick look. So number 2 is Cherry, correct?
Yep.
So it goes Cherry, Grundy, English, then Nank. all within like 1 point of each other on averages.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I don't know. I think I definitely prefer Sherry over English this week for the run in home.
Yeah, I think people might also be getting sucked into the seeing English as 139 and thinking,
Yeah.
hey, let's get on English. But if you look at English, Pigmentality actually pointed this out. So shout out to Dr. Supercoach Pigmentality. We love those guys, and Pig's such a beast. But he pointed out just English, the pattern he's been playing in drops 131, then an 80, 136, then a 70, 137, then an 80, 139. You know what that means this week? He's getting an 80. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So look, his form has been super inconsistent. It's unbelievable. I mean, you could say that's almost consistent how inconsistent that was, but
I think there's a fair bit of contract talk weighing on his mind, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely prefer Cherry over this, but apparently
Perfect,
I'm not
mate.
top 5% for the reason.
No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have not many questions tonight, so it's going to be a very short and sharp podcast. So thank you very much, Ferns, for wrapping that up and doing Joshy's dirty work because he's too useless to be here. We're going to global. Which players are we locking in next year? We had a similar question last week. So, Verns, I'm going to let you kick this one off. Who are you locking in next year? Just give us go four players. They can all be from defense, all be from midfield, whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I like the range. Last week we only did the one, and there's so many to toss up. Number one, I'm going to lock in just because I had a rant about this in my video. I haven't owned him all year, and he somehow got better as the year went on when we thought there was a chance he'd regress. I'm talking about Sheezel. Had a killer role to start the year, moved to the midfield. We thought, oh, he's going to regress. And then he's torn it up even more. And as a non-owner, this is probably the biggest miss of the season for me. Like, I eventually got onto Gorn, I eventually got onto Flanders, but I never got onto Sheezel. And I am locking him for next year. The only, I guess, condition there is if he's a mid only, then there's a bit more of a discussion to it. Obviously, he's had a bit of a, I guess, play around with his role. He's been forward at times, defense early on. What's his actual DPP going to be next season? Is he going to have any? If he has any DPP, 100% lock him in. If he's mid only, still a talking point, just not 100% of a lock. Moving on to number two. This gets hard, number two, because there's been so many inconsistent players. So I think you kind of have to look at these players that I think we can almost get as a budget option. I think Rosie, he's going to be super cheap. I would like to get on him. I guess how cheap is he? That's the question. But he's been really good since coming back. He has been really good since coming back. And I know that you have a bit of a sore spot with him because you started him and he just sucked for ages, got injured, and then he's come back really good. So look, I think there's a chance we get him pretty cheap, maybe around, I don't even know he's averaging. I'll quickly just look at what he's averaging because that'll actually tell me roughly what we priced at.
I can tell you because I own him.
So he's averaging 100, so that's about the 520k at this point. Which isn't crazy cheap, I guess.
No.
Yeah. So, sorry, I hadn't quite thought all these through just yet. I do think Rankin, right. I'll probably lock in. He's been a gun. So let's go forward. Sheezel. Yeah. Rankin, if he's got that forward status, which he should. He played forward at least 50% of the year plus. So Sheezel, Rankin, Flanders, lock that man in. I don't care if he's mid only. He's been so reliable.
Absolutely.
Just get him in my team. And then a final one to finish it off. Look, I'll probably go Sarong. I know Sarong's had a bit of a form slump, but he started off super hot. He's so young. He's so talented. Like, even if he did as good as he did this year, that's a win sort of thing. You know?
I agree.
So you'd assume there's potentially a chance for natural progression, but even if there's not, he's just going to be a good pick. Plus, something I've learned from these Freo players is they start hot and then they die.
Yeah,
Like
Move it off.
I'm questioning just starting the whole Frio team and then just have to upgrade them as the season goes.
Oh, no. So who were the four again? Sheasel,
So let's get
Flanders,
Sheasels, Flanders, Rankin, and I just said him.
Sarong.
Blank Sarong. Yep, there we go.
So I will 100% be starting Flanders. That man is so consistent. Sheasel as well, the same as you. And then it's going to probably. I don't see Bont regressing either. Like
Yeah.
I'll just honestly just pay whatever and to have him there. And another one is someone that is currently not playing, but I think should if everything goes to plan, he should be at least 85% ownership.
Can I take a punt at who you're gonna say?
Yes.
Bailey Smith.
Spot on. Spot on. I genuinely have no doubt he's going to be playing for Geelong next year, and he is an absolute lock.
Yep.
Like as a forward as well. Yep, lock. Like I think that is going to be almost on par with the year that we got Cogs at like 250.
Yeah, 100%. No, I completely agree with that. I probably got sidetracked looking at my actual team rather than thinking outside the box sort of thing. But no, Bailey Smith 100% next season, all over that. I mean, we've been speculating since his return, like whenever he returns. Even this year, if he went to a different club and didn't get injured in preseason, people were considering him as an option. So
I mean, I know he
definitely
can't
next
kick the
season.
ball, but he's just going to get like 30 touches of it. And playing pure midfield, we'll be laughing. Absolutely laughing with that.
Yeah, exactly. And as we've seen with these like forwards this year, like the only actual reliable forwards are the ones that aren't playing forward. And that's how it is sort of every year. It's how it always is. So Bailey Smith will fit that category perfectly for next year.
Absolutely. Global, that was a fantastic question. The Sir 420 has written in, with 4 trades left, do I burn 2 to get Revel out and then be able to upgrade a premium? I should probably hold, but I've tumbled from 5K to 11K over the last 5 weeks. It really depends. Like, I've seen your team, mate, and I would be holding at this stage. I reckon you can go 1 more week holding, honestly. It really depends what premium you're going to be upgrading or sidewaysing. Like, I don't think, I'll have a look now, but I don't think that there's anyone that you would desperately like need to get out. I mean, your worst, you've got. So his defenses: Sheasel, Dacos, Ryan, Martin, Nazaya, and Houston. So out of them, it'd be Nazaya I'd be looking to get out. Then the
I just wouldn't
midfield
upgrade any of them.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You don't need to right now. Midfield is Bont, Butters, Dunkley, LDU, Laird, Green, Sarong, Walsh. Don't think he needs to upgrade.
They're good too. Yep.
Then he's got Gawn, Grundy. So obviously, and bench cover of Kruger. So if Gawn doesn't play, you're gonna probably need to trade because there's no other avenue here. He doesn't have Jackson. He's got Flanders, Caldwell, Heaney, Zorko, Moore, Curnow. I honestly reckon
that seems like a good forward as well. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, as you said, maybe you might have to side with a forward to a Jackson just so that you can cover Gawn, and if you have Dowling in the forward line,
yeah, he's got Dowling on the
bench. Yeah. So that would work this week if that's the case. But yeah, you really don't have to. I mean,
no.
I would almost prefer if you could get a 23rd premium with 4 trades, keep 2 for sidewaysing premiums, and prefer to go to a 23rd if possible.
There's no one there that he'd be shopping if he traded Dowling and say Humphreys, who I don't think you do want to trade just for the highest amount of cash, 560. He'd have 600 in the bank, so you're looking in like that 480, 490k area.
Yeah.
Which
and how much money
it's
is
not
Revel?
worth it. Revel is 240.
Oh, okay. Wow, he's a lot cheaper than I thought he was.
Yeah.
I thought he got up to 300s.
Nah, I just holds my opinion.
Yeah, Burns, I agree. Stick that.
Perfect. We've got the Juicy Gerbil here. Good to see you, mate. What was worse for you, Nate? Hawthorn beating Collingwood or having to hear dopey Hawthorn fans call up Dwayne Russell this week to, we won't say that, off Sam Mitchell after a lucky run? Honestly, they deserve to win. They probably should have won more, and I don't think it's a lucky run either. Like they're just playing good, consistent footy, and it looks fun. Like they all look like they're having a good time out there. But I don't listen to Dwayne anyway, so I wouldn't have heard any of that. I can't stand him. Cannot stand him. BR42 is Tristan Sherry R1. He could drop a monster on the Cats this week. Verns, what do you reckon?
To finish the year, I'm going to say yes. Lock it in.
Perfect. I genuinely see why he couldn't. Yeah. And then the Sirs put in, is it too late Gawn to Sherry? If Gawn's named this week, absolutely it's too late. Absolutely. And I know for a fact that I'm fairly sure he forgot to trade Gawn to Sherry last week.
Oh,
yes,
that's rough.
Deadline. Verns, what do you think? Do you reckon it's too late?
100%. I mean, as you said, like at worst case scenario, he's 1 week. Like I know you've got 4 trades sitting there, and you probably want to be proactive, but as we said, we'd almost prefer you to get a Jackson if you're gonna get ruck cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he did say that that he traded Jackson to Rankin.
Oh,
and then Rankin got suspended. This one's for you, mate. He wants to know Nami or Robin.
I love you. I love that you got it. Perfect. I mean, I don't really have a preference, but let's just go Robin.
Okay. I've got no idea what that's about. If Juicy Gerbil writes in, if Nath is Walter White and Verns is Jesse Pinkman, who is Joshy Skylar? Very good. Very good. Josh, you'd be that old dude in the wheelchair that just literally ticks the bell, I reckon. Just because he's completely useless, can't do anything for himself, and not reliable. So, yeah. And this is the last question of the night. Oh, no. No, it's not. Because I'm going to put that up. This is the last question. So there's another question here. If you're in the chat or whatnot, or you actually genuinely really want to know the question, let me know and I'll send it through to you. But we can't say that. That's terrible. Ferns, VC&C option, mate.
Look, this week, oh man, it's been so hard. They've been so bad the last few weeks. Like everything we thought's going to go to plan, Butters just... It's been a nightmare. Me personally, I'm going to go with the man that every time he's at home, he seems to drop a 140. So I'm going to go for Noah Anderson as my VC. He's just been sensational at home. I mean, once he leaves home, it's a different story. But just like English, he's been a bit more predictable when his good games are coming. So I'm going to go the VC there. He might get tagged by Jared Berry, but if he doesn't, then he's probably getting a 140. So I'll be happy with that. And then my backup,
because he's shocking.
Yeah, definitely. And then final, the captain to follow that up will be Dacos. I mean, into the Tigs. I think that should be pretty safe.
Yeah, I'm like I looked at this earlier in the Sunday night when I was just around, but I'm fairly sure I'm just going to go Sheasel into Dacos. It could be Sheasel into Bont or Goulden, but I mean, Collingwood a shit, Richmond a shitter. You would think Collingwood would win that, and if Collingwood have any hope of winning a game, Dacos has to do well. So, yeah, and I think like Sydney and Bulldogs can go both ways. I mean, Bont's generally a pretty good performer, and Goulden just runs all day. I mean, I don't know if it's because I captained him, but I felt like Goulden was a little bit ripped off with his 108. I mean, he had 27 kick to snag, 108, and 7 marks.
Yeah, so, I think unfortunately he didn't do anything at the end of the game when it was on the line because he was like 120.
Third. Yeah.
And then he just got scaled back to like 108. So,
I mean, yeah, it'll definitely be Sheasel into someone. It'd be nice if it could be, Sheasel into a loop, seeing him on 130. That'd be fantastic. But that's where I'll be headed. Verns, you shouted out the consensus team. Do you have anything more to add tonight?
No, I mean, come join our Discord, guys. You can have your say for the consensus team. I mean, there's not much to really say at the moment these days. It's really just I throw out the captains and we just roll with that. But you can, I guess, find me at Vern's Super Coach on YouTube. My weekly review was me just crying about how shit my season is. So if you want to watch a man crying on the internet, then hit me up.
You know where to find Burns. No, lovely. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, mate. It's been fun as always. Thanks to Joshy for not turning up because he's absolutely fucking useless. You know where to find me, everyone, at Scobie_SC Hub on X. Join the Discord, as Vern said. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. Linktree. All the links will be in the bio. Geez, I haven't stuffed this up in a while. And thank you so much for sponsoring tonight, Honeyball. Check them out. Check all their work out. They have live articles, captaincy updates, trade-in targets, trade-out targets, preferences like that, live quotes from pressers, injury updates, everything you can ask for to better your fantasy sport experience. Ferns, we'll be back here next Tuesday night, hopefully with our dear friend Clayton Oliver joining us. What do you reckon the chances of him rocking up would be?
Yeah, you probably got 4-1 odds, I reckon.
I might have a chat with you. Before we go, if anyone, this comment, the mac and cheese, my God, I watched someone try and cook mac and cheese, and like in not the easy mac, like legitimate mac and cheese. This derelict didn't realize that it was out of date by 5 years, and the cheese that was in the can had no can opener, so it was a chisel and hammer job. Yeah, it was fucked. It was fucked. And on that note, if you are wanting any more extremely weird and interesting stories, come check us out on all, as I said literally a minute and a half ago. Make sure you follow us all on socials for everything. And then just make sure that you're back here, same time, same place, next Tuesday night. Have a great evening. And thank you to everyone that's joined in the stream. Numbers up. There's 116 of you, and we appreciate every single one of you. So thank you, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Have a great evening.